to the Insomnicat Show with Nicolette and Brian. We'll get real deep with you, educating, inspiring, and solving problems with some of the most inspirational humans on the planet. Buckle up and come on the journey.
I'm excited. All right, guys, I'm Nicolette, and today Brian and I are here with Sara-Jane Ladums. She is a self-care and productivity coach, and she's going to talk to us today about her journey from teaching to self-care. So thank you so much for joining us, Sara-Jane. We appreciate it.
Oh, no, I appreciate you so much. And thank you. It's really, really exciting to be here. And the wonders of technology, we're bringing two companies together here. It's awesome.
Yeah. So Sara-Jane, tell us a little bit about that journey. Now, you were a teacher, right, for quite a few years. Now, how did you go from teacher to freedom?
Freedom, yeah, I like the way you put that, actually. So I was a teacher in secondary school. I think you call it high school over where you guys are. So I was teaching geography and physical education for about 12 years in school.
That's an interesting mix, right?
I know it sounds crazy, but here, if you're teaching sort of geography and PE, as we call it, you normally end up teaching like a couple of different subjects. And I was really into fitness anyway. I was really super healthy, so I got sort of roped into doing clubs and everything like that anyway. So yeah, interesting combo. But I was a teacher and I loved it. I did it for 12 years, and then I had my daughter. We actually live on a farm. My other half is a farmer, and the two just didn't mix. And I knew I went back to work when she was 8 months old, back full time, and it was really, really stressful. And she was in childcare. We were shelling out loads of money on paying for nursery. And I cried. Like, I used to drop her off and cry in the car every single time that I left her. And in my mind, I was like, okay, what can I do to change this? I really, really need to change this situation. So I actually started training to do my personal trainer qualification so that I could be a proper fitness instructor over here in the UK. And I did those whilst I was teaching full time, and I had an under 1-year-old. So that was a really crazy period of my life. But once I got those qualifications, I went through the process of coming back a bit with the teaching, spending more time doing personal training, and then taking myself into full-time fitness instructor. So I was working one-to-one with clients. I was teaching classes. So that was how I sort of got from the teaching into the fitness instructing, and then COVID hit. Which is just
not good for the fitness industry.
No.
So then at that point, and now, so you pivoted then to, network, and I believe it's network to empower her. Now, what was that pivot like?
So I was working for a company before. Whilst I was teaching fitness, I was working for a company that was a networking company for women. And it was, I was doing a lot of like PR stuff and running local groups and that sort of thing. And then the company actually fell apart because the people that were running it, the two sisters, decided they didn't like each other and went their own separate ways. And I just thought, you know what, I really like what you've done. I'm just going to do it myself. And I created my own company, Network to Empower Her. I'd had to reel back on the fitness side of things. I wanted to bring people together because I love that kind of community. And we were really, I don't know if it's been the same for you, but here in the UK, we really had to be very isolated. We've been in lockdown a lot over the past year. And I wanted to create a community of women where we could come together and support each other in business. And that was where it all started with Network to Empower Her.
So what are some of the, common goals and struggles you're seeing among these women? Actually, back up 1 second. Tell us a little bit about what that company does. You say you're bringing people together. Tell us a little bit more about that before we get into that.
Right. And how you bring them together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the wonders of social media, to be completely honest with you. So the company I have is It's a networking company, and it's for women who have like a side hustle. So they might maybe have like their own cake making business that they're doing at home, or perhaps they're involved with some sort of network marketing company. And I run Facebook groups, and I have a team who run Facebook groups which are city specific around the UK. And then through Zoom, the wonders of Zoom, we've been hosting monthly, sometimes like every 2 weeks, every week, different networking groups. And we come together, we talk about our business, and we have maybe a guest speaker. We had a lady talking and showing us the other night how to take really good photos on your iPhone, which was really, really helpful because people can't get like photography. So that's just been the process of just bringing communities together, roping in my friends, to be completely honest with you, to help me out and run groups across the UK. My plan is to take it global. I want to take it global. So yeah, that's where we're at so far.
So then in the course of, this past year that you've been doing this, what have you seen, and you have a tangible example there, even something as simple as an iPhone picture, right? Just photography for your business. What are some of the struggles and goals of these women that you're networking with?
So I think for a lot of the women, they found that they maybe lost their job when we went into the pandemic. Some of them, they might have been working in like bars and coffee shops and that sort of thing. So they lost their job. They were at home with their children. They were homeschooling. So they were juggling all the stuff that you're doing as a mum and trying to teach your kids schoolwork. And I think what they were trying to do was find a way that they could then bring some income into their family. And that was the biggest goal that I found. I could see people trying and needing help, because going into your own business, I mean, I know going from a teacher into the world of self-employment, you're just like, oh my gosh, this is so different. And they needed some help and some support that wasn't really expensive, because there's some great coaches out there, and I don't want to take away from that, but no one at that point was in a position to be spending out hundreds of pounds or dollars on coaching. So that was what I wanted to do, was to create an environment where everyone could bring their separate skill set and kind of bring it together. Yeah, that was the biggest struggle, I think, was them trying to find a way to bring an income into their family.
Did you see in the UK, I know here in the US, we saw a lot of new startups and a lot of new businesses, like actual registered businesses going on during the pandemic. Did you guys see that also? Did you see a spike in the UK of new businesses starting?
Yeah, definitely. And you could, I still see it on my Facebook right now. There's, people launching websites all the time. I think certainly in the community that I was working in, a lot of people did actually join network marketing companies as well, just trying to find ways to, get creative. And that's one of the positive that's come out of this, I think, is people have had to get more creative as to how they can earn an income, really.
So how big of a shift was that from teacher to business owner, right? Because that's a big shift, that's a real big shift. I mean, forget about the scariness of where's your money coming from, right? Because we all sort of have to deal with that when we own businesses. But how big was that a shift of having like sort of, okay, I'm working this job and here's my hours, to now all of a sudden I'm working nonstop, or I'm doing all these other things?
Massive. I'm not gonna lie, it was massive. But I think my teaching background really grounded me in some certain things. I love learning. So I was Googling everything. I was watching everything on YouTube. That's how I've learned everything. I haven't, paid lots of money for courses and things because it's there, but you've just got to take the time to do it. So I'd be sat there up really late at night, just trying to keep my eyes open, watching YouTube videos and listening to podcasts. I mean, I am going to plug podcasts massively here, because you can listen to a podcast and learn so much whilst you're doing a million, like folding the laundry or whatever it is.
Brian just said that yesterday.
Yeah, I do that all the time. I'm always listening to, whether it's a podcast or an audio book or something, like something's always playing.
Yeah.
And people, it's cool. You don't even have to be like, I mean, it depends on how your house is set up. Like if you have, like whatever smart devices in your house, like I don't want to say it too loud because it will turn on, but like Alexa or Google or whatever the case is, you could just stream them throughout your whole house. So as you're walking around, you could listen to stuff wherever you are in your home.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was exactly how I did it. Just listening, watching videos, just all completely self-taught. So yeah,
That's awesome.
scary. It was scary and crazy, but
You know, what's interesting too is we talked to remember Zusha, completely self-taught photographer, and same thing. He was of the same adage, like he taught himself everything, you know, about photography from watching YouTube videos and things like that. So it's amazing the abundance of information that is actually out there that's free.
Right.
yeah.
Right. And I think it's got a lot to do with, you know, your drive too, you know, like, are you willing to look for that information, the right information, and seek it out and then spend the time? You know, but now you've been doing this for a year now. And I'm curious, you know, what, you know, after networking with all these women, and I do have to ask, are men allowed? Because my co-host is a male, right? So I've got to know what's up with the women thing. Are men having these struggles too? And should they have their community?
Well, like, I don't have a thing against guys. I will just
She's
put this
like, I'm
out
not
there.
talking to Brian.
Like, I do like men.
You're okay, and I do like guys. They're okay. I think it's come from working as a teacher in a very female-dominated environment.
Right.
Then teaching fitness, and the majority, I would say 99% of my clients were women who had just had children like me. And really, I think the people that I work with are just the people that are like me, you know, like you attract the people that are similar. And it's not anti-men, but it is, I think, you know, for mums and women working in business, and I am part of other networking organizations in the UK that are men and women, but I do think the challenges that people face in business, women, sometimes we do have different, you know, a lot of the time it's to do with childcare, to be completely honest with you. That is one of the biggest challenges that my other half, you know, nobody said to him when we had my daughter, are you going to go back to work? But I was asked that question. And I think, you know, there's different pressures and expectations, and that, I think that's just why. Yeah.
So you're kind of breaking that mold, right? Like saying, like, it's okay if I don't want to go back to work. Right?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I see that. I get that. But I had to ask, right? So, so now over the course of this year, what would would you say that you have any advice, you know, for those women who have a side hustle, right? Like they're making cakes. What what would you want to tell them right now?
So I think if you are someone right now who is thinking, I want to start my own business, maybe you've got a side hustle and you want to make it bigger and you want to make more of an impact. I think the key thing, first of all, is to get super clear on your vision, like know what you want to do, what you want to achieve. And I think when I set out with this, I had a really good friend who works in marketing, and she sat me down and she said, you need to know what you want to do. You want to be really clear on who you want to help and what you want to achieve. And I did spend a lot of time doing that. And consistency. And I know it's so boring, and I'm sure so many people say this, don't they? But you've got to show up, and you've got to expect to fail and get stuff wrong. And, you know, like the amount of times that I've sent out emails and they've gone to the wrong people, or links haven't worked, and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, I'm really sorry. It's just, you know, the process, the learning process, it's not going to be perfect ever, but just, you know, be consistent and be prepared to get stuff wrong, and you will get there. It's not going to happen overnight, but definitely, like, keep going, keep plugging at it.
And I have the $1 million question, what I call the $1 million question. Right?
Yeah.
So how do you balance, right? How do you balance this? Now, you know, Brian has twin 7-year-olds, and you know, and I have a 6-year-old. You've got you have a 3.5-year-old, right? So now how do you balance? Because I know I struggle with this, and I'm getting better. But you know, how do you balance owning a business with parenting and, you know, and motherhood in particular, even?
I think I never use the word balance, because I don't think you're ever going to get a balance. I think sometimes you're going to be working and pushing really, really hard in your business, and then other times you're going to be able to pull it back a little bit and spend more time with your family. So it's kind of like a set of scales that's sort of you know, going up and down. What I coach the women that I work with really, really on, because they always come to me and say they don't have time, and they ask that exact question. And I am super organized. My teaching background has just meant that I have always been organized. I've always been able to get things done. And really, it's boring, but it's about time blocking and setting up chunks of time for, this is when I'm work mode, this is when I'm mum mode. And when I'm working like a couple of hours a day at the moment right now with the situation that's going on, I'm working like really, really hard. And then when I'm with my daughter, I'm mum, and I put my phone in the other room and I shut it in the drawer, so I'm not like constantly, because I think when you own your own business, it's so easy, just check in all the time. So it's kind of having that boundary of work, home, and don't let it, because multitasking doesn't work, does it? Our brains can't cope with it. So yeah,
Brian
really,
was trying that before, right?
Oh yeah, I sent the email at the wrong time. Yeah.
And I
don't
really
multitask really well. I focus really well on one thing really good, and then I just keep going until I'm done.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about, I don't know for you guys, but when I was teaching, I'd be, concentrating on something, and then someone asks you a question, your brain's gone somewhere else. So you're just like, what was I doing? And yeah, you just lose it, don't you?
Yeah, I get so oblivious sometimes. I don't even know someone asked me the question until they're like, excuse me, like 15 times, I get very focused.
I really like what you said there about not using the word balance, though. And it's funny because I was having this thought the other day as I was giving, my son was taking a bath and I was sitting there with him, and my phone was there, and I was like, he's asking me for toys, spilling water all over the place. I'm on the phone, and I had this thought, like, I will never do everything the way, like, it's either I'm in full one mode or the other mode. Like, I cannot be everywhere and do everything at the same time. I can't, so it's actually the way you kind of have the scale there. For me, really helped me visualize what I was even thinking. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
I appreciate you putting words to my thoughts there.
It's not easy. And I mean, like, I delete, dare I say, Instagram and Facebook from my phone to stop myself from scrolling and doing stuff.
Great time wasters, great time wasters. Now, do you find it, because I find this too, right? When you're doing your own thing, what happens is you get sort of pick and choose, right? Your times, like you're saying, like, you could spend a time with your child or your children the way you want to. Like, we do this all the time. Like, it may be like, whatever, you got to pick your child up from school, or they may have something. It's so much more to me. Like, I said this years ago, like, I'll never go back to like that big corporate life, because you don't have the flexibility. You don't have the time. Do you know what I mean? To spend, and you're working hard. Don't get me wrong. When you work for yourself, people work really hard when they're working for themselves, but you get to pick and choose sort of when you do it. Like, I know for both me and Nicolette, like, sometimes it's like work, break. Do you know what I mean? And then work more, because you could take that 4-hour break if you need to do something with your child or whatever the case is.
Yeah, I love that. And when I started working for myself, I had a really, really clear thing in my mind that I wanted to be there to pick my daughter up from school every day and drop her off at school every day. That was my real goal when I went into being self-employed. So yeah, I love that freedom. I really do. And I think also, I don't like being told what to do. I have discovered that.
Me neither. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I just told Brian I suck at baking because I don't like to follow the directions. It's the one thing where you have to just follow everything precisely. And I'm like, just stop telling me what to do, Betty Crocker. I just want to bake it my own way.
Do you think all entrepreneurs are like that, though? I think you've got to be ready to like just do it your own thing. The
only problem is your cake really sucks when you don't follow the directions. So.
That was after a few failed relationships. The first thing I said to my girlfriend is basically, I don't like to be told what to do at all. I'm just letting you know, like, I just don't.
No, not at all. So, well, SJ, thank you so much for the work that you're doing. And I would love it if you, and I'm so glad that you want to take this global. So, let us know where we can learn more about you and your communities and where we can get involved. And maybe here in the States, we can start to, pick up some of that too, right?
Yeah, that would be amazing. So I do have a Facebook group on called Network to Empower Her Global. So I do have some ladies in from the US over there, and my goal would be absolutely to have some networking groups over in the US that are you know, part of the company. That would be amazing. My website is networktoempowerher.com. And if it's okay, I'd like to give my own podcast a little plug. So it's called Empower Her. It's the UK one. I know there is a US version, but you'll see my lovely UK limited on there. So thanks, guys. It's been amazing.
Thank you. And we'll put all of those links in the description so everybody can go right to it.
Thank you.
Thank you, SJ. Appreciate it. Thank you for the work you're doing.